One of my favorite games is Jet Set Radio, made by Sega in 2000. It was fresh and original both for its time and even today. You play the role of rollerblading teenagers and 20-somethings who rollerblade and parkour their way through an impressive near-future take on both Japan and the United States, as you spray paint walls and run from the ever-present police, and later, military and assassins. The story is absurd. It's told primarily through radio announcements through a DJ. The whole thing oozes corny but cool in that Sega kind of way, much like Sonic the Hedgehog used to do. More recently, a 3-person team from France who were fans of Jet Set Radio decided to create their own game inspired by it. The result is Hover, Revolt of Gamers. The concept is very similar to Jet Set Radio. In a city in the future, gaming and entertainment in general is outlawed, and you are therefore a criminal simply for wanting to have fun. You fight back against the oppressive government by smashing anti-video game propaganda signs, spray painting walls, and you perform various random missions given by townspeople and major characters. The main difference between Hover and Jet Set Radio is the format. Jet Set Radio is a single-player game divided into self-contained levels with only one goal. Usually it's spray paint the marked walls. Hover, meanwhile, is an open-world game with MMO elements. You coexist with all other players and may come across them as you navigate the city. You perform missions and gain experience points, which can be used, along with items they earn, to level up your character's abilities such as speed and jumping and grinding power. The movement is similar between the two games, but different. Both games are about parkour, but Hover has faster movement, and its parkour involves a heavy amount of jumping. You grab onto ledges, briefly run up or along walls, and you can even bounce off the ground high into the air if you fall a great distance. You can even rewind your movement, tracing your steps backwards and undoing any missed jumps. In both games, you can grind on surfaces such as fences or wires. Despite some significant differences, the two games have a lot in common. Jet Set Radio was the inspiration for Hover after all. Now I want to make one thing clear. Hover is currently in early access, which means that the game is not considered finished, but people have the ability to purchase it early and try it if they wish. And I did just that, and I'm glad that I did, despite some issues that I have with the game. Both games are about parkour, but how do they control? It's difficult to actually show in a video, but Jet Set Radio's controls are a bit stiff. And if you're going to play that game, you're going to wrestle with those controls. It's hard to aim jumps exactly, and to aim things like jumping towards a wall to skate on it before launching off. Doing those things is fun, but it takes a lot of skill to pull them off, and practice to get that good. Hover has the same mechanics and then some, such as running up walls and climbing them by repeatedly jumping into them. The controls are much more smooth and fluid, making pulling off these moves easier to do. Both games involve running from the law, a corrupted, oppressive law, making them technically the bad guys. When you're chased by the cops in Jet Set Radio, it's fun. You can jump over them, try to outskate them, and there are many close calls. You also see them a lot throughout the level. They're a constant visible presence. They chase you, you outrun them or escape past them with your fancy maneuvering, and then when it's safer, you head back and spray paint again. Simply being close to them isn't enough to cause you to get caught, and being caught means taking some damage. It's only if your life goes all the way down that you actually lose. In Hover, if you run through a searchlight, you'll trigger a chase from a robotic flying E-cop. These things are small, harder to see, and simply getting too close to them means being immediately caught. Turning around is usually a bad idea. So basically the screen is flashing red and blue lights while you run until the lights stop. I wish there was some kind of meter or something to indicate how close the E-cop is to the player, or something like that to make the chase more exciting. Getting caught by the E-cops operates in a 3-strike penalty system. First strike, you're stopped for a few seconds let off with a warning. Second strike, you're transported to a penalty box elsewhere in the city. Third, you go to a jail level they must escape from so they can re-enter the city. Which is a pretty neat idea, I think. Jet Set Radio's gameplay has only a few mechanics. The rollerblading is slower than Hover's running, but it's fun, and you can grind on railings and telephone lines and things like that. You spray paint areas that are marked, you can spray certain enemies in the back or even vehicles such as helicopters that can be sprayed on the cockpit, causing them to crash. Other than that, you can't attack. There are also hidden spray tags to collect that are hidden in hard to reach places, which require tricky maneuvering and a lot of skill to reach. Sometimes you have to race someone to a goal, and in a few cases you're asked to copy another skater's moves. There's also a few boss fights, if you can call them that, where you have to chase someone and spray their back a bunch of times. Those are the game's missions. Completing the game rewards you with optional, just for fun missions that contain no enemies and let you explore and parkour to your heart's content.
Yo, 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 yo. Whoa, ha. Whoa, 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 ha. Ha, ha, cool.
Hover attempts to shake things up with a few differences. Rather than giving you a mission right at the start of the level, Hover has you seeking out people within the open-ended city and neighboring areas such as the sewers to try to find missions. The missions range from collecting a bunch of things, racing someone to a goal while passing through rings, things like that. Sometimes you encounter a robot sentry they have to chase. Just get close to it and it'll hop to a new spot, and once you reach a spot, it'll hop to another spot and so on until you've caught it. Some of these missions really require you to know how to use your parkour skill to be able to keep up, and I like that. Other times it's pretty much just running and some jumping. I also like the fact that those little missions are always active, like smashing things and spray painting specific spots. As you explore, you find specific spots to spray paint and signs to break. I appreciate it when the game rewards exploration like this. However, one major problem with Hover's missions is the ball missions. Missions where you have to carry something. It doesn't have to be a ball, though it often is. Sometimes it's take out food or someone's pet, but the mechanics of these missions are the same. Carrying the ball, or whatever, is not fun. It reduces your abilities. You can't climb with a ball in your possession. And if you use a rewind ability, you drop the ball. Any minor mistake can cost you, as dropping the ball can happen from other things as well. You then have to go find the ball again, or wait for it to respawn. With the racing and collection missions, if I miss a jump and fall, I can simply rewind my position back and try again. Since rewinding doesn't actually rewind time, it's not what I would call cheating. But if I drop the ball or miss a jump while carrying it, I'm in big trouble. Rewinding makes you drop the ball. The penalty for dropping the ball is so huge that it really slows down gameplay. All of this adds up to a play mechanic that's more frustrating than fun, and it made me really not look forward to doing the ball missions. There's also a sport involving the ball, generically titled Game Ball, where you have to take the ball to a goal and stop the other team from doing the same, but the mechanics just didn't excite me at all. The camera makes it difficult for me to follow the action, and I think their ball really needs to be more visible. I think they should take a cue from Rocket League and maybe give the ball a green trail or make it very large or something. Do something to make it easier to spot. I played Game Ball with a random group of players online, and they seem to be having fun. I was terrible at it, but that's not my point. I think Game Ball shouldn't be a required mission, but instead just make it a totally optional sport for online players, and tweak its presentation a bit to make it easier to follow. If it's optional and easier to follow, more players would enjoy doing it on the side. Both games try to be funky and cool, I guess you could say, but they approach it from different angles. Jet Set Radio's entire presentation was original both for its time and even today. The thick black cartoon outlines of the characters, the way the soundtrack kept changing from song to song during gameplay, following a different playlist for each mission, the way the game's menu was in the form of looking around the character's hideout, and most of all, DJ Professor K. Professor K is a goofy DJ with bouncy hair who both jokes around and provides exposition between missions. His radio announcements are mostly the only form of storytelling the game has, except for a scant few cutscenes.
It turns out the Golden Rhinos are a secret branch of the Rokuku group. They're a dangerous bunch, cool and cruel. They got a martini in one hand and a switchblade in the other. Looks like they're wiping out everyone who tries to hang on the streets. Go on and hit them back. Make them feel you.
Professor K makes cheesy jokes, but his upbeat demeanor and unself-conscious joking around vibe give him that sense of Sega cool that they tended to give to so many of their memorable characters. He's an indispensable part of the game's presentation. Hover has none of that. The game's soundtrack consists of only one song for most areas, except for two songs in the main city, a daytime and a nighttime song. And there's songs for doing missions, and that's about it. They managed to convince Sega's Hideki Naganuma to do some of the game's music, but this is not his best work at all. Hover's storytelling comes only in the form of dialogue from random townspeople on mission givers, and the dialogue is just lame. There's no real personality to it. They sound like characters from a cartoon aimed at elementary school kids that's trying to be cool. It's nothing like Jet Set Radio's personality, which jumped out at you and saturated the whole game. My biggest problem with Hover, by far, is not knowing where to go or what to do. Jet Set Radio doesn't have that problem since its levels give you a single goal. Spray all the marked areas before time runs out. It leaves it up to you to parkour your way around the place as you do the goal. Hover, however, fails to do a good job of making the locations of its various missions obvious. I've restarted the same mission by accident multiple times while desperately trying to find new ones. Although that was actually fixed in the recent patch where they now let you know which missions you've done. by no longer having people stand there. At least it looks that way to me. But still, along the way, keep smashing anti-game signs and spraying specific walls, so I'm accomplishing mini goals, which I enjoy doing, but still, actual missions? I've done some of those. If you find and complete a mission, the game will mark the next mission in the set, saying, next mission here, so you can find it. But only if you do a mission within a particular set of missions. If you like to explore the game's world and do things as you come across them, like I do, then good luck finding missions that are appropriate for your current abilities. And good luck finding the next mission in the main mission line. The game does not do a good job of making it clear where to find missions, particularly appropriate ones, or reorienting the player if they go off the beaten path. And it seems to punish people who like to do things out of order like me by making it hard to return to the order. The game has a scan function that lets you see where missions are if they're close to you. The scan feature is not easy on the eyes. The outlines around things you scan are very thin and hard to see. Most mission givers are not shown either. You have to hunt for them, or hope they completed a mission as part of a set so the game will say, next mission here, and mark the next one. Anytime I play Jet Set Radio, I can just hop into a level and start having fun immediately due to its pick-up-and-play nature, even with the flaws in its game mechanics. Every time I play Hover, while I do have fun exploring and parkouring around the city, I feel like I'm almost getting nothing done. I'm really just hoping around hopelessly lost, but in style. But with Jet Set Radio, there's no confusion. Rather than search the city for a mission giver and hope I'm on the right track, I simply pick up a level and start immediately. There are definitely things that I really like about Hover Revolt of Gamers, but I wish were better. The ideas behind it aren't all bad ones, though some of them, like the huge number of missions that involve carrying a ball, are just stupid and bring the game down. Actually finding missions is harder than it should be. Hover has better play control, I'll definitely give it that. Some technical aspects of Jet Set Radio's gameplay have not aged well. It feels like Hover has a foundation of a potentially good game, especially with its very fun movement mechanics, but it's got a ways to go. It could have taken the city parkour concept to the next level, with an open world design and online free roam multiplayer. But it drags it down with some poor design decisions that really should be fixed, such as those terrible ball missions, and the difficulty of finding relevant missions. Ditch the ball missions. Keep game balls a multiplayer sport, since there are players who seem to enjoy it, but do not make a requirement. And add more music, please. Again though, Hover is an unfinished game, which has been publicly available on Steam since 2014. For all I know, the developers may address some of these complaints, and come to think of it, they did address some complaints I had about the game since I first bought it a few months ago. They added a patch, for instance, that makes players able to restart missions that they failed, for instance. As is currently, Hover has much better play control, while Jet Set Radio has a better theme and presentation. Both have a mixture of good and very flawed game mechanics. Just my current opinion. In the meantime, I intend to keep playing Hover Revolt of Gamers from time to time to mess around in it, but honestly, playing both Hover and Jet Set Radio for the purposes of getting footage for this review has given me a greater appreciation of both games' strengths and weaknesses. While I personally like Jet Set Radio better, if Hover gets its act together, that might change.